Some DC characters were once unstoppable, racing across galaxies, lifting mountains, and rewriting reality itself. But then, DC stripped their powers away. Heroes who could once outrun light struggled to outrun a car. Gods who could crush planets barely lifted a truck. These weren't minor changes, they were brutal nerfs that left fans furious. So, who were these characters? And how did they fight their way back to the top? Here are 10 DC characters who were nerfed, but some eventually regained power. At number 10 is Superman. Before 1986, Superman was nearly unstoppable, able to juggle planets, travel through time, and breathe in space without effort. But after Crisis on Infinite Earths, DC rebooted the character in The Man of Steel, 1986, by John Byrne. Superman's powers were drastically reduced. He could no longer time travel, couldn't push planets, and even needed an oxygen mask in space. In one early post-Crisis issue, he struggled to lift an airplane, a massive change from his Silver Age days. Byrne described it as an across-the-board reduction in Superman's abilities, scaling him down from a godlike figure to a more grounded hero. This nerf redefined Superman for the 1990s and 2000s, with later writers gradually restoring some of his strength, but never bringing him back to his pre-Crisis levels. Even brief storylines where he lost his powers entirely, like after Infinite Crisis, reinforced the idea that Superman's once limitless might had been permanently scaled back. At number 9 is Wonder Woman. In 1968, Wonder Woman lost her superhuman abilities when the Amazons left Earth to restore their magic. Diana chose to remain behind, giving up her Amazonian strength, speed, and powers. She was no longer a demi-goddess. She reinvented herself as an ordinary human adventurer running a boutique, training in martial arts under her mentor, I Ching. Without her powers, she could be hurt by bullets and overpowered by regular opponents. From 1968 to 1973, Diana fought crime as a non-superpowered hero. The change sparked fan backlash, and in 1973, DC restored her powers and classic costume in Wonder Woman number 204. The in-story explanation framed this as a trial she had to endure, after which her abilities were returned by the Amazons. The powerless Diana was adapted into a 1974 TV pilot movie. That film portrayed Wonder Woman as a non-superpowered secret agent, directly inspired by the comic mod era. At number 8 is Lobo. He was once a force of chaos in the DC universe. Known for his regeneration and immortality, Lobo had an absurd ability. Every drop of his blood could grow into a full Lobo clone. Injuring him didn't weaken him, it multiplied him. This made him virtually unkillable. He had strength on par with Superman-class 100-level durability and a rapid, near-immortal healing factor. But in the late 1990s, DC quietly nerfed him. It was revealed that Vrildox of Legion removed Lobo's cloning power, closing the loophole that made him infinite. After that, no matter how much Lobo bled, there were no more clones. In Our Worlds at War, 2001, Lobo was torn apart by parademons, but only a single Lobo regenerated. His healing remained strong, but the endless clone swarm was gone. The change stuck. In modern comics, Lobo remains a powerhouse, but the infinite multiplying Lobo is no more, a significant reduction for a character once known for being truly unkillable. But the next 3 will shock you. One hero loses a hand to piranhas, another gets her origin rewritten, and a savior turns into a villain overnight. At number 7 is Green Lantern Hal Jordan. He was one of the greatest Green Lantern, able to tow planets, contain supernovae, and wield the ring with unmatched willpower. But everything changed in Emerald Twilight, 1994, when Hal's hometown, Coast City, was destroyed by Mongol and Cyborg Superman. Millions were killed, and Hal was shattered by grief. Desperate to bring back what he'd lost, Hal tried to use his Green Lantern ring to recreate the city, breaking the Corps' sacred rule against using the ring for personal gain. The Guardians ordered him to stop, but Hal refused. Instead, he turned on his fellow Lanterns, drained the central power battery, and became the villain Parallax. DC wanted to shake up the Green Lantern mythos, replacing Hal with a new, younger hero, Kyle Rayner, to bring fresh energy to the franchise. Hal's fall into villainy was a way to create shock, break the status quo, and push the Green Lantern legacy in a bold new direction. At number 6 is Power Girl. Power Girl was once a powerhouse. Earth 2's Supergirl, a Kryptonian with strength, flight, heat vision, and durability on par with Superman. But after Crisis on Infinite Earths, 1985, DC erased Earth 2 Superman, and with him, Power Girl's Kryptonian legacy. In 1987, her origin was rewritten. She was now the descendant of an Atlantean sorcerer named Arian. This drastic retcon nerfed her powers, no longer fueled by the sun. Her abilities became inconsistent and unreliable. She could barely lift 20 tons, and her vision powers often failed. The story explained her power loss as a side effect of being displaced from a vanished Earth. For nearly 2 decades, Power Girl was stuck in this weakened state, caught between her Kryptonian past and Atlantean rewrite. It wasn't until Infinite Crisis 2005 that DC restored her true origin, powers, and status as Earth 2's Supergirl. But for years, Power Girl's potential was stripped away, a powerhouse reduced to a fragmented shadow of her former self. At number 5 is Aquaman. Aquaman was once seen as a standard Atlantean powerhouse. Super strong, able to breathe underwater, and telepathically control marine life. But in Aquaman Volume 5, Number 2, 1994, his story took a brutal turn. Arthur's left hand was bitten off by piranhas, a moment that left the King of Atlantis physically scarred and symbolically weakened. He replaced the hand with a harpoon, later upgraded to a cybernetic prosthetic, but his strength and abilities were never the same. Years later, Arthur briefly gained a magical water hand, blessed by the Lady of the Lake, granting healing, shape-shifting, and water control powers. It was a rare buff, but in Brightest Day, 2010, that magic hand was taken away. Arthur's original hand was restored, but his mystical abilities were lost. The nerf left Aquaman with his classic powers, strong but no longer enhanced. Post-Flashpoint, 2011, the loss was erased. But for years, Aquaman's journey showed how even kings can be broken. At number 4 is Supergirl. Linda Danvers was once a force beyond mortal understanding. Fused with the Matrix entity, she became an angelic Supergirl, wielding flame wings, healing powers, and near Superman strength. At her peak, she could battle demons, match Superman blow for blow, and save lives with a single touch. But in Supergirl number 50, 2001, that power was torn away. Linda and Matrix were separated, stripping her of the Earthborn Angel's gifts. What remained was a shadow of her former self, residual super strength, a flicker of telekinesis, and a new, more grounded identity. The change was severe. Linda could no longer fly at will or command the flames that once made her a celestial protector. She continued briefly as a reduced hero, but in 2003, her story ended when Supergirl number 80 concluded. Kara Zor-El returned as the classic Supergirl in 2004, and Linda has been largely absent in later continuity, her powers never fully restored. And the last 3? A cosmic sorcerer stripped of power, a speedster who could barely outrun a car, and the legend who broke free from it all. At number 3 is Firestorm. Ronnie Raymond, as Firestorm, could do the impossible. Transmute matter, turn air into steel, sand into hydrogen. Fused with Professor Martin Stein, he had flight, energy projection, and strength on par with the best. By the late 80s, Firestorm evolved into a fire elemental, a godlike being connected to Earth's ecosystem. But in Firestorm number 100, 1989, everything changed. It was revealed that Stein, not Ronnie, was destined to be the true fire elemental. In a final mission, Stein had to leave Earth, taking the Firestorm Matrix with him. Ronnie, the main character, was left completely powerless, a regular human once again. The Firestorm title was cancelled soon after. Though Ronnie later regained some powers in Extreme Justice, he never returned to the cosmic heights of the elemental phase. Firestorm's story shifted, and the elemental powers were never fully restored. After Ronnie's death in Identity Crisis, 2004, the Firestorm mantle passed to Jason Rush, closing that chapter of the story. At number 2 is Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate was once one of DC's most powerful magic users, a Lord of Order, wielding the Helmet of Nabu, Amulet of Anubis, and Cloak of Destiny. Kent Nelson and his successors could bend reality with spells, battle cosmic forces, and protect Earth from magical threats. But in the mid-1990s, DC handed the mantle to Jared Stevens, and everything changed. Jared melted down the Helmet of Fate into a dagger, turned the cloak into bandages, and refused to be a full sorcerer. As Fate, he fought demons on the streets, relying on weapons and fists instead of spells. He had no flight, no teleportation, and no traditional spells, only immunity to magic, enhanced senses, and limited plane travel abilities. Dr. Fate went from a cosmic mage to a street-level occult vigilante. Fans were stunned to see one of DC's top sorcerers stripped down to a trench coat-wearing demon hunter. Jared's era ended when he was killed off in JSA number 1, 1999. At number 1 is Wally West as the Flash after Crisis on Infinite Earths, 1985. Barry Allen was gone, and Wally West stepped up as the Flash. Fans expected him to match Barry's near light-speed feats, but DC took a different path. In the Flash Volume 2 number 1, 1987, Wally's top speed was capped at Mach 1, the speed of sound. He needed massive calories to maintain his powers and couldn't vibrate through objects without risking injury. Wally even lost a race to a jet, a far cry from Barry's cosmic runs. This deliberate nerf kept Wally superhuman, but grounded, slower, more vulnerable, and struggling under Barry's legacy. Over time, Wally broke through these limits. In The Return of Barry Allen, 1993, he realized his block was psychological, born from living in Barry's shadow. By the late 1990s, Wally surpassed Barry's speed, fully unlocking the Speed Force. But for years, Wally's potential was held back, a nerf that shaped his early journey as the Flash. DC nerfed their heroes, but some fought back. Who do you think is next? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.